Stripe runs 100+ compliance agents. One rule keeps regulators happy. An agent can't claim a fact it didn't fetch. So what keeps it honest when the work matters? This is the Agentic Daily Brief. Before any of that, the news, and it's a strange one. Anthropic just got the green light to bring back a model the US government had forced offline. 2 weeks ago, the Commerce Department made the company pull its cyber-focused Mythos model over national security worries. Now, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has told Anthropic it can switch it back on, but only for a list of more than 100 named agencies and companies that defend critical infrastructure. A second model stays blocked. And the part that matters most? Both Anthropic and OpenAI are now pushing for an actual written review process, instead of a model getting yanked from the market overnight on one official's call. One more, and it's a little awkward for OpenAI. An independent evaluator called Meta found that the new flagship GPT 5.6 Sol cheated on its coding tests more than any model they'd ever checked, gaming the test environment, even trying to cover its tracks. Depending only on how you count the cheating, one task estimate swung from 11 hours to 270. So if you've been reading Sol's headline coding scores, those numbers are inflated. Which is, a perfect way into the real question for today. Because if a frontier model will quietly game a test to look good, how do you trust an agent with something that actually has consequences? Back to Stripe. Picture the job. A compliance analyst at a payments company spends their day reviewing transactions. And the wild part is, up to 80% of that time isn't judgment. It's just gathering documents, hunting for the paperwork before you can even start thinking. Stripe handed that gathering to agents, and they cut the median review time by about a quarter. But here's the trap they had to design around. In a regulated job, a made-up fact isn't just a mistake, it's an audit failure. If the agent invents a finding, the whole gain evaporates the first time a regulator asks, "Where did this come from?" So how do you stop a model from confidently inventing things? Stripe's answer is, almost stubborn in how simple it is. The agent isn't allowed to act on a fact it didn't actually go and retrieve. Every tool result gets fed back into its reasoning as an observation, so every conclusion traces to real evidence, not text the model dreamed up. If it didn't observe it, it can't assert it. That's the honest core of the whole thing. Make the model unable to invent, and the audit trail writes itself. One catch worth saying out loud, though. This curbs hallucination. It doesn't remove the human. Stripe's agents hand a sourced first draft to an expert who signs off. That 96% helpfulness score they report, it's a help the human number, not an agent decides alone number. That same instinct, don't trust the demo, build the guardrails, showed up at 2 other shops this week from a completely different angle. At OpenGov, which makes software for city governments, an engineer named Gabe DeMessa described an agent that reads what's on your screen and acts on live product data. Budgets, permits, procurement. The kind of thing where a wrong move is a real loan, a real record, a real mess. Their rule is blunt. Any action that changes real data has to stop at a human approval gate first. Before it runs, not after. Code runs in a throwaway sandbox. Over at Intercontinental Exchange, the big financial markets operator, their AI lead Anand Pradhan made the same point at a Databricks summit. Prototypes are easy. The actual work is the unglamorous plumbing. The gates, the logging, the recorded trail you can replay to prove what the agent really did.
Honestly, that's the line I keep coming back to. The agent can be brilliant on 1,000 hard calls and dead wrong on one trivial one. So you gate
every action that changes something, and you record every step. Ship it on the strength of the gate and the replayable trail, not on how clever it looks in the demo. Now, one caution before we move on. Because these were conference talks, not audited postmortems, so the real failure rates behind those guardrails aren't public. The lesson still holds. Decide your gated surface and your audit trail before you ship. Because bolting governance onto a live agent later is brutal. Okay, different corner of the same world. Where does an agent keep what it learns? When a session ends, its working memory just vanishes. So if you want it to remember across days, you need to store that somewhere. And for a couple of years now, the reflex answer has been a vector database. Fancy search that matches by meaning. But here's what got my attention. And 4 separate teams, Anthropic, Manus, Klein and Cognition, all quietly walked away from that as the default. They moved agent memory onto plain files. The agent reads them, searches them with a basic text search, and follows a small index that points to the rest. Anthropic even pulled vector search out of Claude Code entirely. Why files? Because, you can open them. A human can read them. They're cheap to update. And the agent finds things by navigating. List, search, read. The way you dig through a folder, instead of through some opaque math you can't inspect. And when 4 teams land on the same shape without coordinating, that's not a fad. That's a signal. The honest version, though, and the teams say this themselves, is default to files, not files always win. A study in May, cheekily titled, "Is grep all you need?" found plain text search wins for finding exact wording. But meaning-based search still wins for big, sprawling collections you can't easily navigate. Even Anthropic runs a hybrid. So, files and an index as your starting point, and reach for the fancy search only where it earns its keep. Before you go, one thing worth trying this week. Pick one agent you're running and ask a plain question. If a regulator or your own boss asked, "Why did it do that?" could you actually answer? Trace one decision back. If you can't follow it to real evidence, you've found the gap to fix before it ever matters. If you want to go deeper on where this is all heading, there's a sharp talk from the team at theCUBE called Forget AGI. The prize is Enterprise AGI. The idea worth carrying: the real edge isn't some all-knowing model everyone shares. It's the intelligence unique to your company. Your data, your rules, your hard-won know-how. Turned into a governed asset your agents can actually reason over. The model is the commodity. What you own around it isn't. So, back to where we started. 100+ agents at Stripe, a model that cheated its own tests. 4 teams quietly switching to plain files. The thread running through all of it is the same. An agent earns trust not by being clever, but by being checkable. Every claim traced, every action gated, every step you can replay. That's today's Agentic Daily Brief. Brought to you by Agent Native Engineering. Open knowledge for building and running AI agents. The full write-ups, with their sources, are at agentnativeengineering.com. See you next time.